Greetings, welcome back to Friday 13th YouTube channel. Today you're going to be watching an interview with Danish progressive metal act Anubis Gate. Now Anubis Gate have just released a new album called Interference on No Dust Records, which is a fantastic album. The interview was conducted by Kim Olsen on guitars and also vocalist and bassist Hendrik Fevre. So I'd like to thank Hendrik and also Kim for the interview. Thanks for watching, Metalheads. Be safe and please leave comments and share this interview on social media. Thanks for watching, Metalheads.
So how's it? Yeah, Jason, I also invited Henrik along. I hope it's okay.
Yeah, go for it. I've got a new backdrop for you at the back of here. Put a different one up.
Oh wow, yeah.
I wanted to use the new album cover, but I didn't think it looked good enough as much as this one does.
That Purification album cover, it's a very good backdrop. If I remember correctly, you had the Perfect Forever backdrop.
Yeah, last time. Yeah, I was just going through all the album covers last night trying to find something, and I couldn't.
I'm here. Is that all right?
Hi, man. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Yes.
Good.
Is it okay?
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
All right. Because I don't have to boot up a computer first. So this is the fast version. Yes. Hello.
Okay. So welcome to Friday 13th, Hendrik. Also,
yes.
Kim. So I hope you like the new album review I've done for you.
Yes.
Absolutely. And thanks for a perfect 5 out of 5 score. It's not often you get a perfect score, so thanks very much.
You're welcome, guys. You're welcome. So, Hendrik, this is the first time I've interviewed you, so I'm going to ask you some questions first before I talk to Kim.
Yes.
As a singer and bass player, who's inspired you? Which musicians?
Oh, that's pretty difficult because most of my I started out in heavy metal, and then I moved to other genres like pop or more art rock and stuff, and progressive rock as well in a lot of years. So as a heavy metal singer, if I should put it that way, it must be something like Detached, or perhaps actually the previous 2 singers that Anubis Gate had, Torben Askom and Jakob Hansen, actually.
Okay, interesting.
That sounds weird, but when I took over the lead vocal range, you could say that maybe when I started singing for Anubis Gate in 2011, I had already been emulating the sounds of both Jakob Hansen and Torben Askom on recordings. So that's why I think as a bass player, maybe Geddy Lee, for instance, from Rush would be an inspiration that you would know of, I think.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Yeah, all right.
Oh, that bloke from Rush.
Yeah. Okay, so, what about other singers? I mean, other progressive metal singers have inspired you? Or even because I know you kind of when I listened to that Covered in Colours album, there was a lot of like bands like Japan. So I guess the new wave of new romantic singers might have been influencing you.
Yeah, of course, it did. And something like Simon Le Bon from Duran Duran, it sounds pretty far up, but that's what I've been listening to a lot of time back then and later on as well. So as I don't listen that much to heavy metal actually. I'm not that inspired by other people though, but there has been some, of course. Paul, what's he called? I can't remember, from Cynic, for instance.
Oh, Paul Pascal, yeah, Paul, yeah.
Yes, and well, it could be the 2. I think Tesseract has had 2 singers as well, Daniel or something. I'm not very good at these names, but the 2 singers of Tesseract have always been inspirational for me. Yeah,
that's interesting to me. I mean, like I said, listening to that Covered in Colours. I mean, that cover of Japan. I think that's awesome. I mean, I've never heard the original until I listened to your version.
Oh.
And I went back and I thought, this is fucking brilliant. This is absolutely awesome.
So you like Japan now?
Yeah, I do kind of. You've influenced me to listen to that song.
All right, great.
As strange as it might sound.
Yes, I've listened a lot and loved David Sylvian and his voice earlier, but it's not. It wasn't inspirational for me as a singer really, because he's not a very exciting singer actually, and he's got a deep range, and I have a high range voice. So in that way, he wouldn't be inspirational vocal wise, but in musical terms, yes, very much.
So what about bass players? Which bass players inspired you to become a bassist?
Originally, the need for a bass player in a band. That was my inspiration for starting out. We were searching hard for bass players, and at the end, I said, "Oh, let me have it. Let me have a go." And that's why I started playing bass actually. But then, I mean, John Taylor of Duran Duran, or Mick Karn of Japan, as you said before, and Nick Beggs, who plays with Steven Wilson now, and was in Kachagugu in the 80s. That's my main inspirations for bass lines.
What about Mark King? Mark King from Level 42, because he's a hell of a bass player.
Yeah, he is, but I'm not that much into the slap kind of thing. But he's definitely a great musician as well. I think. Yeah, I've been listening to a lot of Level 42 as well. Yeah.
What about Sting?
Yeah, Sting. And the Police. I've listened to a lot of Police, but I mean, Sting as a solo artist, he's doing all the right things, but for some reason, I don't. It doesn't really get to me. I think perhaps he's kind of doing exactly what I would have done. Does that make sense? And therefore, it's a bit boring to me. I can sometimes I anticipate his steps, and that's kind of boring, I think. So I should be able to like. I should be a big fan of Sting, but actually I'm not.
Okay, then. So just before we talk about the later albums, before you joined Anubis Gate, Hendrik, which albums are your favourites? Do you have any favourite albums before you joined the band?
Before I joined the band?
Yeah.
You know, you mean anything?
What's your favourite Anubis Gate album before you joined the band?
Oh yeah, but I've actually been on every album. I started out together with Kim as a session musician on the first one, and the second one, The Perfect Forever. We were both integrated parts of the band, so there wasn't really an Anubis Gate before Kim and I were part of it, at least. So, but you could say, what's my favorite album before I became the lead singer of the band? Yeah. That would have to be Andromeda Unchained. I think that's when we got hold of the formula of the band that we've been building on since then. That's when it formed for me, and I thought, yeah, this is really going the right way, I think.
All right. What about you, Kim? What's your favorite albums? The previous albums, the early ones.
Yeah, good question. I mean, if I can't choose the new one, it would be Horizons. I think I can. Okay, then it's Horizons. But I think, I mean, every artist would say that, wouldn't they? But it's been very hard for me to put the new album away, and I usually don't feel like that. I'm kind of, sick of it when I'm done with it. But I'm not really done listening to the new album, and it's been finished for 1.5 years, so I should be very tired of it by now. So I think there is I think the new album is the album if I was a fan of the band, it would be, it would be the album I connected most deeply with. It's so hard when it's something you do. I love all our albums. I must say I'm a bit of I'm sad to say, a musical narcissist. In that, I mean, there are persons who never listen. There are people who never listen to their own stuff, but I'm kind of, I think I joined the band because I saw a potential for it to be the band that could make the music that I really wanted to listen to myself. So very hard. But if I can't choose the new one, it's Horizons. I would say.
Okay. I mean, when I listened to the first two albums, you were very closely compared to Crimson Glory on the first two albums. Do you agree?
Yeah, and I mean, I know both Jesper and our old drummer, old Morten, I will call him from now on. You know, we've all listened to Transcendence a million times. You know what a fantastic album that is, and you know, I mean, every guitar riff from that I can kind of think of something that's a bit like it on the first two albums. So I mean, yeah, Crimson Glory and Queensryche would be the two albums that I would say are most closely related to the first era of Anubis Gate, and maybe throw in a bit of Iron Maiden. You know, sometimes Torben did sound a bit like Bruce Dickinson in places, when he wasn't trying to be angry Dio. He was, and I love that, but because Torben was fantastic in sounding like Dio, but he did have some kind of Bruce Dickinson resemblance at times.
Because when I listened to the first two albums, there's another band that come to mind, a band called Lordburn. Have you heard those guys?
No,
three, yeah, Lordburn. They were from America. They were a three-piece. They were signed to a label called Nordic Metal.
Okay,
Lord Bane.
Yeah,
I'll have to send you a link, both of you, so you can check them out. There's when I listen to their music and yours, it's very similar. Very similar.
Okay, are you talking about Lord Bane, or is it just me that's got the
Lordburn? Yeah, Lordburn.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I get you now. Yes, yeah, I can see the comparisons. Yeah, you're not the first one to mention that.
It's probably me that mentioned it before to you.
I mean, it's just, you know, my old very, very tinnitus plague ears heard it as lovebirds or something like that. So it won't be the last time that I'm gonna have to ask you to repeat a question, because they're really old, my ears.
I mean, there's like a strong connection with like Danish metal. There's you guys. There's like Beyond Twilight. You're all very, and Paramares, and they're all very connected. Aren't you? All similar. Do you all hang out together? You're all like friends or something?
Well,
I think the common denominator here is Jacob Hansen, actually, which in some way he's been with all his work and everything that he's played in, and everyone he's helped along the way. He's a kind of he's one of those guys that the Danish metal scene has revolved around. I think it's fair to say, because he produced Beyond Twilight, so I think that's it's not that everyone knows each other, but he knows everyone and has worked with almost everyone. So I think he could be the common denominator. But you know, Henrik and I both played in bands with Per Møller Jensen, who was in Jacob's old band,
Invocator.
yeah, and he was Horns, and Jesper, who was a founder member of Anubis Gate, was also in Invocator, you know, and kind of that, you know, there are a lot of musical destinies that have been intertwined over the last 4.
Sorry, what was the last bit there?
There are a lot of musical fates that has been intertwined over the last 35, 40 years, and it's and a lot of them, it's, you know, it's if you were to draw a Anubis Gate band member family tree, it would be very, very complex.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, that album that he did, Covered in Colours, I mean, the album before was called Covered in Black, and then you did covers. I mean, that wasn't actually a covers album, was it? That was your own material. Then you did the covers in colours, which is completely covers. I mean, that must have been quite difficult trying to pick all them songs, because like I said, the Japan song's a really complex song, and you made it sound your own, which I think is really amazing, the way you've twisted it and done it your own style.
Yeah, well, it started out as a very small project. Actually, we thought about doing a vinyl, actually, or something with 8 songs, something that could fit the vinyl format. and then it just got out of hand almost, because hey, we could do this and we can do that, and when we had started, then we could there so many things, so many songs popped to mind, and we just kept going until we could fill out a CD actually, almost. So so it was kind of happy times, I would say. Wouldn't you say that, Kim? That it was just a kind of pleasure experiment, a fun thing to do in the midst of all the more grave or darker thoughts that we had been dealing with on the previous album.
Yes, I completely agree. For me, actually the new album, Covered in Color, were recorded. Much of it were recorded simultaneously. It was just that Covered in Colors was the album that got finished first. But Covered in Black was such a dark album, and I was just coming out of a pretty severe depression, and Covered in Black was kind of musically all about that depression. And I thought that album kind of revolved for good and for bad around my state of mind. And when I came out of it, I needed to have fun. I just wanted to do something that was completely insane and fun. And it, as Henrik says, it got totally out of hand, and it became an album. We didn't expect it to become an album, but it just happened.
The thing is, though, that all the songs are really bizarre and strange, like the Slayer song and like the Aussie. And they don't sound like the originals. I like the way that you've just done this, because Nevermore did a cover of Judas Priest, Love Bites, and it doesn't sound like anything like Love Bites except for one little part of the song. And you've done the same with these songs on this album. So respect for you for doing something kind of strange and fucked up, as you could say.
I mean, it was a great way for us to get into recording again without the pressure of having to write anything. So we could just take what other people had written and rearrange it and make that an album. But then, because it was a simultaneous project with the new album, I would say it helped getting the spirits of the band up, and gave us energy to do Interference. So without Covered in Colors, the new album would never have been made.
Really?
Probably not.
Yeah. Probably. You never know, because you can't. Of course, you can never tell. But let's just say it was for me, it gave energy to make the new album. It gave me a lot of energy, because I had so much fun that I could also be serious about the stuff that we were writing ourselves.
Right then. So the songs from the Coloured in Colours, what bands have actually heard your versions? Has any bands approached you and said, "Hey, that's a great version you've done of us"? Has anybody approached you?
I think not.
I know.
Have you heard any?
Yeah, only one. I think Voi-Vod gave it a like in a Facebook.
Right.
So I think they and Jason Newsted actually gave it a like. But I don't know how they heard of it. Someone posted it in a Voi-Vod thread on Facebook. But maybe they didn't listen to it. I don't know. But maybe they did.
Well, interesting.
So
I mean, your guys' music is very dark, isn't it? It's not your typical progressive metal. You've gone like for a darker approach, I've noticed, and you found your own roots as well. You're not trying to copy anybody. I mean, you've got the elements of Voi-Vod, the way they do technical, weird stuff, and you've kind of gone down the same route, but in your own style. Do you agree?
Yeah, I would say just a bit more. I mean, Voi-Vod is melodic in their own way. They're weirdly melodic. But Voi-Vod is certainly a huge inspiration. But for me and for Henrik, I think a lot of our inspirations comes from 80s pop music. Fusion, modern metal with the Somewhere in Time album from Iron Maiden and 80s pop, and that's how we got where we are, and a bit of Voi-Vod.
Yeah, I'd say you're kind of like a cross between new romantic and progressive rock and metal. Do you agree on that one?
Very much.
Girlfriend.
Sorry, Hendrik?
girlfriend metal, as some have accused us of being.
Really?
Yeah. That's one of the funnier comments. Girlfriend metal. But
yeah. Even Kim's wife likes it.
Interesting. So I mean, you've left, Kim. Last time we spoke, you were leaving Nightmare Records, looking for a new label. So we kept that stum, didn't we? But you signed with No Dust Records, a Greek label, I believe. How did that label come about, and what other labels approached you?
Yeah, I mean, Nightmare Records were kind of slowly winding their activities down, and Michael from our band, Michael Bodin, he has his own band, Third Eye, which I don't. Have you heard them?
Which band?
Michael's band called Third Eye. You should listen to them.
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. I spoke to him yesterday. Yeah.
Oh, you okay, that's fun. They were signed to No Dust with a new album, and he kind of suggested to No Dust that they have a talk with me, and then we were signed to No Dust, and I think they're a great label because they have so much enthusiasm. And it's not that Lance wasn't enthusiastic. It's just that, you know, just we're in the same time zone as No Dust. And I mean, I can pick up the phone and talk to him. It's not the old mail communication. And if you have a question, you have the answer the next day, and everything's goes very slowly that way. And it's not Lance's fault that we're not in the same time zone, but it's so nice to just be able to pick up the phone and talk to your label and hear how excited they are about the new release, and that's absolutely great. I love it.
Has this label promised you any tours or anything? Because that's something that you really need, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we've never toured. I think, I mean, all of us except Morten are in our 50s now. And I mean, I have almost 4 grandchildren. And we all have full-time jobs, and time is a bit more scarce when you are 25. So, and we actually, I mean, we made it as a recording band and not a touring band.
Sorry, you broke up there, Kim.
I think I covered the microphone. I mean, we made it as a recording band and not a touring band. And today, I think that is our luck, actually, because with the economics of the music business today, even touring is kind of going down. I've seen big bands canceling their tours because there wasn't enough money in it. I mean, I think that's the reason Nightwish suddenly put a halt to their tours. And I'm very happy now that we don't rely on touring for making music.
Right.
I mean,
okay.
Yeah, sorry.
So I was going to say about the new album title, Interference. Who came up with the title? Did you come up with Hendrik, or was it Kim, or somebody else?
I think it was you, Kim, wasn't it?
It was me, but I mean,
but I did a lyric of it.
Yeah,
yeah,
it was me, and it's. I mean, we all know that the world came to a grinding halt a couple of years ago, and stopped for 2 years. And I mean, the writing of this album was so easy, and the recording of it was mostly very, very easy. But everything around it made the process stop for some period of time. I mean, COVID, and I mean, I had some serious illness in my family and all that kind of stuff, shit that happens when you get older. you know, you have to take care of your older people and your family and yourself also. And I mean, it's just part of life. But that really is why it's called Interference, the album, because it really was interfered with the process of making it. Except that it was very, very easy to create, but everything else was hard work. So it's but I mean, it's a great title on many levels, I would say.
Did you have any other
Because
titles for this album? Any other titles?
I think not.
I don't know. No.
We didn't have any other titles. No. But
Okay,
but I would say we have. I think we have come to peace with the idea that we are not a touring band. That we actually we'd rather like to make another album than make a lot of preparations for a tour, for instance. That would take a lot of time of our hands in which we could have built the next album, which is more precious to us, I think. Wouldn't you agree, Kim, on that one? Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I mean, it's the thing that always, if I have to choose between doing a tour or being creative will always win. And I'm not saying that we will never play live, because we have played live, and I'm not saying it won't happen again. It might happen, but if I had to choose only one, it would be making the next album.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, then Hendrik, did you write all the lyrics for this album?
Yeah, I did. Yes.
How long did it take for you to write all the lyrics?
That's a tough question, because it happens over a large period of time, really. So these songs, they don't come about in a sec. They are prepared, and they are changed, and they are everything. And then when something is looking to be finished, then I will start writing the lyric for it, and not before that. And that could be any time in the process, really. So as I remember from this album, the song "Ignorance is Bliss," I had that written maybe, I don't know, 2 years before the rest of the songs, the lyric. So there's a mighty gap between stuff sometimes. But if you ask me how long will a lyric take to write, how long does it take for me to write one lyric? Is that a question as well?
Yeah, you could do. Yeah, go for it.
If I'm inspired for it, it could be like 3-4 hours maybe. But that was an easy one. It could also be 10 hours, I think, when something is not when I can't figure out how to do it, or if it's a longer one. But an average would be like maybe 4 or 5 hours, I think, perhaps.
I guess it goes on what the song complex of the song is, isn't it? You've got to work around the complex of the song to get the ideas for the lyrics.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah, it has to fit. I think I try to make it fit the content of the music and what I hear from the music, and harder edged music have harder lyrics or more aggressive lyrics than more beautiful parts, of course. And if a song contains both elements, then I have to be creative to make a story of it that suits both of them, I think.
Okay, then. So, Kim, did you come up with all the music first, and then you just pass it on to Hendrik?
I came up with much of the music, but it's kind of, it's very organic the way we work when we because Michael also wrote some stuff, and Henrik wrote stuff as well, and kind of, we're kind of a Dropbox band, so everyone will put their ideas into that, and it can be really, it can be 10-second ideas, and it can be full songs and everything in between. And I might take something from one song that people send and pick it apart and put it in another song, and everyone will be annoyed with me for a couple of weeks, and then it's all good. And that's kind of my role in the band. But I don't know. I think I've wrote about 60% of the music of the album, because after Cover and Colors, I was really on a roll. That's what I mean about it being the catalyst for the writing of this album. I've never had such an avalanche of ideas as I had on this album. It was just so easy. But even I think Henrik wrote to the music this time, but sometimes Henrik, that on previous album, he will also send me just a vocal and say, write some music to this. So it can be the other way around as well. And some songs really, there's a song called The Intergalactic Dream of Stardom. And the version that's on the album is the third version of that song. I mean, there were two other versions with the same melody lines, more or less, but completely different music. So I'm also prepared to just take everything away but the vocals, even if a song is finished, and say, no, I gotta do that again. Another example of that would be the song World of Clay, which there is not a single note left of the original version of that song. Everything changed to the album version. But that's how I work, I have to write the stuff that sucks first and then be good. So so it's very complex, Anubis Gate, writing for it. Equations was a song that Michael had written, but it was the last song done for the album, and it had a very soft chorus, and the album didn't need more soft choruses. So I just ran with it and said, okay, I'm going to do another chorus for this song, because at some point I would start thinking about the album as a kind of meta song, one whole song, and I would start thinking about what does this album need now? Does it need a ballad? Does it need and it didn't need a soft chorus at that point. So that's also how we work.
I was going to ask you where this album was recorded. Was it recorded in separate studios, or did you do it at home?
Yeah, except the drums, it really was a home recording. Yeah, and a home mix as well. Jacob mixed the drums, and I mixed the rest.
So how long did it take to record this album?
It's difficult to answer, really. It's going on, for a couple of many years actually. This album has been ongoing for the past, ever since we did Covered in Black, really. So it's a bit difficult to say how long does it take. I think it takes me about a week or so, where I work every day to do the vocals, for instance.
But then again, you do, of course, do demo vocals with random lyrics for us, for the rest of us to have something to work with. And then when we progress further in the process, you will write the actual lyrics. I mean, you might take a book and sing something of that book or something, just for us to give us some vocal lines to work with. Yeah. But I think I don't know how other bands does this, but our process is actually that the demos that we do when we record the album kind of slowly just morphs into being the finished album. It's in the old days with tape, it would be much more, you record a demo and then you go in the real studio and you re-record everything and do the album. But today it's so much more organic, and you can change things until the very last minute because it's all digital, and you can copy and paste. And if you find one wrong note in a guitar, you can go and that out and take another note and put in there and stuff like that. So that's how we do it. You could say that what you hear is the demo of the album, or you could say that the demo of when we demo the album, we have actually start recording it. I mean, all of the keyboards that are from the initial demo are still there, or most of them. So 6 years, or because the album has been almost finished for 1.5 years. So 4.5 years it took to record.
Okay, then. So, what songs from the new album are your favourites? Start with Hendrik. What's your favourites, Hendrik?
Yes, it would be the Intergalactic Dream of Stardom. I think that's the most elaborate thing we've done on this one. I think that goes so many places and has a forthgoing story. And I like the bits, and I like the what can you say, the counterparts in this that we go on such a journey. I think that's what I like most about it. Yeah.
Any other songs?
And other songs.
Yeah, any other songs you like?
Yeah, I like them all, of course. Otherwise, we wouldn't have done it. But I know that when you are in a band, then you don't necessarily love every single thing that comes out of the band, of course. And there are songs that I like better than others. Usually, after a while, I tend to like the songs that I didn't like most when we did them. I tend to like them better because there's something that I have to explore still in those songs that I didn't really get the first time around. And that's because I don't do all the music. Of course, I do some of it, but not all of it, of course. So there's a lot of layers there that I experience like an ordinary listener, really. So what I would say, what would I put on now? Dissonance, Consonance. Maybe that's a song that I'm not finished with at all yet. And Interference, I think, also has some has a very great universe to it, or something something different from what we've done before. That's what I like. And Dissonance, Consonance also. Yeah.
What about you, Kim? What's your favorite songs before we call it a day?
Interference above them all, I'd say. I think, in my opinion, it's the best piece of music we've ever done, and the best lyrics, and they touch me on so many levels. I mean, some of them are about the creative, how difficult it is to get into the creative sphere, and how easily you can be disturbed. But some of it is also about Jesper, who we lost a couple of years ago, and I can see him clearly in some of the things that I mean, when Henrik sent me the finished vocals for it, I mean, I literally I cried, because I mean, I see Jesper in so much of what's in that lyric. So it's very dear to me, that song, both because I'm a creative person, but also because on another level it's about Jesper, who we missed.
Rest in peace, Jesper.
Yeah, rest in peace. Absolutely, rest in peace. And this album is also, it's in his memory. I mean, it's dedicated to him. So and World of Clay, because it's a complete opposite. It's just the most aggressive, in-your-face song we've ever done, and I love that, because I mean, we can be all artsy and stuff like that, but I do love a good smash of metal sometimes.
Pressure.
And I mean, that's it. I mean, that's just a big fist in your face, that song, and I love it.
Okay, well, I'd like to thank you guys for doing this interview. I wish you all the best with the new album. Do you have anything to say to the people watching this on YouTube?
Well, I have. If you find the album kind of hard to get into, give it a couple of spins. We've done a lot of work. We worked for a lot of years to do this, so give it more than one before you judge it. I think that would be my comment to people, maybe people who don't know us already.
I agree with you on that, Hendrik, because it took me a couple of spins. It's different from what you've done in the past. But yeah, I do agree. So, Kim, what about you? Do you have anything to say to anybody?
Yes, please buy 100 copies, every one of you, each.
Fantastic. How many CDs did we make?
I'll say the same as Henrik.
Okay, well, I'd like to thank you for doing this interview, guys. Have a nice day. Be safe and keep in touch.
Thanks.
Yeah, that was really great. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
You're welcome anytime. Be safe, and I'll send you the interview when it's finished.
Yeah.
Yes,
great.
and we'll share it, of course. Yeah. Be safe,
Okay.
Jason.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.